Hi guys, this is part 2 of the Mega Question Workshop. Yeah, I didn't film it 30 seconds later. Life happened. So to remind you, if you find these videos useful, do please subscribe, do please click like, do please email me logiclanguagelearning@gmail.com if you want the podcasts. This is all the work that the people that you see doing in the live class do. Yeah, this is what they do. It's exactly the same systems, it's the same names for stuff that I use, the same tricks. So if you find that useful, then do please email me about those podcasts. I do get a lot of emails though, so and then often I will ask somebody to WhatsApp me if they want to talk about something in particular, because it's easy to do over the phone. So don't think I'm being rude if I then don't get round to you straight away. I will work my way through you, and if you haven't, that sounds rather naughty. And if you haven't heard from me in a couple of 3 days, then just WhatsApp me again or email me again, please do. Right, so this is part 2. This is just, I'm going to give you some questions. I'll give you a couple of seconds and we'll look at all the different ways that you can say these questions. So again, to remind you from the previous video, we're looking at tone, we're looking at the 3 systems predominantly. The tone of voice method if we've got a yes/no question, the ESCA if we've got a yes/no question, and the inversion if we have a yes/no question. And if we have a question which is not a yes/no question, then we want to be trying to bring in a version which is the simplest form we can, which is the verb untouched. Nobody's messed with the verb, we haven't inverted it, we haven't added anything to be on the, like an ESCA to the left of it. And then that will normally conclude with the question word, or we can do what we call the reverse simplest one, where we have the question word and then the normal question sentence, and then we have the ESCA, then we have the inversion, and then just a couple of other little tricks. To make this an absolutely totally brilliant question workshop bonanza, full-on hardcore big fuck off session, I'm also going to bring in other style question issues. Now these are covered very specifically in the A-level revision podcasts, the information for which is underneath. So this is questions where you need to use adverbs of time. So in other words, where you have to be playing around with pendant versus pour versus depuis versus ça fait and all of that stuff, because that is effectively a really big part of questions as well. So we'll look at the different methods and we'll also talk about those as well. Right, off you go. So Luke, how long is the video going to last? So why don't we say, I'll pause for a second, which allows you to press pause on the video. You then try and come up with anything you think which makes sense. I will give you all the versions that I can think of which will work. So I won't give you a massive pause, because otherwise it'll be a really stupidly long video. So in other words, if you can just press pause yourself on the video straight away, finger or spacebar, and you then come up with it. So off you go. So how long do you think the video is going to last? No, sorry, how long do you think this video is going to last? No, how long is this video going to last? How long is this video going to last? Cette vidéo va durer combien de temps? Cette vidéo va durer combien de temps? Combien de temps va durer cette vidéo? Notice that the question element now is not one word. Combien de temps? How much time? So notice, treating it like the question element though, I can do my simplest form. La vidéo va durer, so the simplest form, no inversion of the verb. La vidéo va durer combien de temps? Combien de temps va durer la vidéo? Which is the inversion, and it's a little bit heavy here, but combien de temps est-ce que la vidéo va durer? How long is it that the video is going to last? Strictly speaking, we could also say what will be the duration of the video, quelle sera la durée. Durée on this occasion is not durée the verb, but la durée the duration. Donc quelle sera la durée de la vidéo? La durée de la vidéo sera quoi? But it's a little bit, bit of an odd way to do it. Okay, next one. How long have you been working as a French teacher, Luke? How long have you been working as a French teacher? Ça fait combien de temps que tu travailles en tant que prof? Ou ça fait combien de temps que tu travailles comme prof? Tu travailles comme prof, ou tu travailles en tant que prof depuis combien de temps? So to borrow one from the A-level revision playlist. If we are talking about something that you are still doing, then you need to be using the present tense, and you either need to use the model ça fait plus the time plus the que, or the same verb plus depuis then the time. Yeah? So how long have you been working as a French teacher? Ça fait combien de temps que tu travailles comme prof? Or even you are a teacher. How long have you been a teacher? T'es prof depuis combien de temps? Tu es prof depuis combien de temps? With or without the slang join. Vous êtes prof depuis combien de temps? Ça fait combien de temps que vous êtes prof? Ça fait combien de temps que vous travaillez? Vous travaillez depuis combien de temps? So we're bringing in the vous, we're bringing in the tu, we're bringing in the slang of the tu. If we were going to use tu, tu-es, becoming te, there are options. What are you going to eat this evening? What are you going to eat this evening? Tu manges quoi ce soir? Tu manges quoi ce soir? Or even tu mangeras quoi ce soir, if you wanted to be really specific. We could use tu manges quoi ce soir though. Qu'est-ce que tu manges ce soir? Qu'est-ce que tu vas manger ce soir? Because it's a plan, so a plan can use go. Qu'est-ce que tu penses manger ce soir? What are you thinking of eating? As in planning on eating. Qu'est-ce que tu comptes manger ce soir? Que manges-tu ce soir? Which is using the que, then the inversion. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Good. The park is open until what time? The park's open until what time? Le parc est ouvert jusqu'à quelle heure? That one for me, possibly le parc sera ouvert jusqu'à quelle heure, if you were talking about this evening will be. That's one I wouldn't want to play with too much. Anything else would be going away from, look at the roses, anything else would be getting away from, you know, à quelle heure vont-ils fermer le parc? What time are they going to close the park? Ils vont fermer le parc à quelle heure? Yeah, that one you could do the other way around. À quelle heure est-ce qu'ils vont fermer le parc? What time are they going to close the park? Ils vont fermer le parc à quelle heure? Yeah. There's nobody in here apart from me, but one little family. Look at these lovely little roses. This is right by my house. This is like 2 minutes away. I come here with my coffee or my green tea. Always take a moment in life to smell the roses, figuratively and literally. Good. Why do you like roses, Luke? Why do you like roses? Tu aimes les roses, pourquoi? Simplest version, verb, no messing with the verb, question word on the end. Mais tu aimes les roses, pourquoi? Reverse simple, pourquoi tu aimes les roses? So that means question word first, then the normal sentence order. They don't smell, but these do. They don't really ever smell. So we could go again with an inversion, with a corruption. So, t'aimes les roses, pourquoi? T'aimes les roses, pourquoi? Pourquoi t'aimes les roses? Be very clear that when you say t'aimes, you are using the slang tu aimes, becoming t'aimes. You're not using a reflexive t, okay, or a pronoun t. Pourquoi est-ce que tu aimes les roses? I could in theory do the pourquoi and the est-ce que and the t'aimes, but it's less likely. If you're doing an est-ce que sentence, you are less likely to bother with the t'aimes. Pourquoi est-ce que t'aimes les roses? You know, I'd much more likely say t'aimes les roses, pourquoi? Pourquoi t'aimes les roses? Pourquoi est-ce que tu aimes les roses? Good. When are you going to leave for the other house? Quand est-ce que tu vas partir pour l'autre maison? When are you going to leave for the other house? Quand est-ce que tu vas partir pour l'autre maison? Tu vas partir pour l'autre maison. Quand? Quand vas-tu partir pour l'autre maison? Tu pars quand, toi, pour l'autre maison? Yeah. Reverses. How long did you live in Paris for? For how long did you live in Paris? I'm going to literally go with the one that I would say first. T'as habité à Paris pendant combien de temps? T'as habité à Paris pendant combien de temps? You lived, notice that one is in the past because I didn't live in Paris up until right now, so I will use the past. Notice in English, you have lived in Paris for how long, still uses the past auxiliary as in the present perfect, so you have lived in Paris, even if you were talking to somebody who still lived in Paris. So you have to be very, very careful. So you've lived in Paris for how long? Would be, tu habites à Paris depuis combien de temps? Or ça fait combien de temps que tu habites à Paris? But if you were asking somebody who no longer lives in Paris, even if they went home a week ago after 25 years, if they're no longer still doing it, then you will use the past tense and you will use the, pendant. So, tu as habité à Paris pendant combien de temps? T'as habité à Paris pendant combien de temps? Look, I've ended up behind bars. We all knew it was a question of time. On savait tous que c'était une question de temps. Good. Why do people like your videos? Why do people like your videos? So this is interesting because this brings in the fact in French that when we've got a noun, we don't always want to use the noun. So we wouldn't say pourquoi aiment les gens tes vidéos. That sounds a bit crap. Pourquoi ils aiment les vidéos? Pourquoi ils aiment tes vidéos, les gens? Pourquoi ils aiment tes vidéos, les gens? Pourquoi aiment-ils tes vidéos? Inversion, les gens. Pourquoi est-ce qu'ils aiment les vidéos? Pourquoi est-ce qu'ils aiment tes vidéos, les gens? That one we could do. Les gens. Pourquoi ils aiment tes vidéos? Notice Jean is masculine, notice personne is feminine. Good. Do you need to book a table for the Indian restaurant where I'm going later? Il faut réserver une table pour le resto indien. Il faut réserver. So now this is more a question of what verbs do you use for need, because if you're using need, this is not about asking questions per se, but you've got your besoin option, your devoir option, and your faut option. So, il faut réserver une table. Is it necessary to reserve a table? Faut-il? Nice inversion. Faut-il réserver une table? Est-ce qu'il faut? Yeah. Make sure you've said them all the way through. We don't want to be saying things like est-ce que faut-il or some combo. Will it be necessary? Faudra-t-il? As an inversion. Would it be necessary? Faudrait-il? Il faudra. Il faudrait. Reverse them round. You have to. Vous devez. Devez-vous? I don't like. Vous devez réserver une table pour le resto indien. On a besoin de réserver une table. Est-il nécessaire? Is it necessary? Let's be very clear. When we are saying est-il, we are not doing an inversion on like il est parti, est-il parti. We're not using the auxiliary verb inverted. We are, oh, nice green canopy of trees. We are using the verb to be in an expression, in a neutral expression. Est-il? Quick reminder. Now, I don't think I mentioned this in the first chunk of stuff, but there is a video, and I will, if I don't remember to pop this underneath and somebody sees this in this video and they go, oh Luke, you haven't popped it underneath and I'd really like it. Can you remind me to pop the link to my video which talks about when you have, now this is not the end of the world, but when you have indicative expressions that when you use either A, negatively, or B, in an inversion way, or in theory both, then yeah, so for example, I don't think he's ready, alors je pense pas qu'il soit prêt. Do you think he's ready? Est-ce que tu penses qu'il est prêt? You wouldn't use est-ce que tu penses qu'il soit prêt there, even though you are asking a question still, it's the inversion that would give you the question. Penses-tu qu'il soit prêt? So just be very, very mindful if you're asking someone, do they think something? But if it's in the inversion, then they need to do the subjunctive. So we need to talk about when we're using these different tones. Notice that we're a little bit more inversion likely if we're using a vous. Notice we're a little bit more inversion likely if we're in a more formal situation generally. So in a customer service role, you know, good. What would you have done if I hadn't come? What would you have done if I hadn't come? Really, in proper English, what would you have done if I hadn't have come? Which people always say hadn't of come. So if I'd come has no auxiliary, has an auxiliary. What would you have done if I'd come? I'd come, you can hear the I had come. So just be mindful of that. But you don't want to be thinking, did he say if I came? Or did he say, because sometimes people go, what would you have done if I came? Yesterday, what would you have done if I came? And they will get that instead of what would you have done if I had come? So notice we don't need to be judging it, particularly Americans. I'm really speaking to Americans. That's a cute little church behind me, by the way. St. Gabriel's. So we're not judging this on whether or not you can hear the auxiliary in the English. We're judging this on whether or not this is something that can still change. So what would you have done if I'd have come? We can no longer change. What would you do if I came? We could still change. So that's the point. If you can still change it in French, you want your was and your would, or your would and your was, but no auxiliary. And if you can't change it anymore, then you need your was, would and your was and your would on the auxiliary. So what would you have done if I'd come? Is that what I said? What would you have done if I'd come, if I hadn't have come? What would you have done if I'd come? Mais let's go with vous. Qu'est-ce que vous auriez fait si j'étais venu? Mais qu'est-ce que vous auriez fait si j'étais venu? Vous auriez fait quoi si j'étais venu? Notice I'm using the what. Yeah. Qu'auriez-vous fait si j'étais venu? What would you have done? Que. No problem. Yeah. Que plus auriez-vous fait. Qu'auriez-vous fait? All my different versions. Qu'est-ce que vous auriez fait? Vous auriez fait quoi? Qu'auriez-vous fait si j'étais venu? And then I could reverse it round. Si j'étais venu, qu'est-ce que vous auriez fait? Si j'étais venu, qu'auriez-vous fait? Si j'étais venu, what did I do? So inversion. So si j'étais venu, qu'est-ce que vous auriez fait? Si j'étais venu, qu'auriez-vous fait? Si j'étais venu, vous auriez fait quoi? So when you have hypothetical questions, and we've practiced those ever such a great deal in the group and in live classes, it's a common thing to get in a question, isn't it? So if you knew the answer, so I make you say things like, if I knew the answer, I would say something. Alors si je savais la réponse, je dirais quelque chose, as opposed to if I'd known the answer, I would have said something. Alors si j'avais su la réponse, j'aurais dit quelque chose. Fine. But that is a really common question setup. If you'd have known the answer, would you have said something? Alors si tu avais su la réponse, est-ce que tu aurais dit quelque chose? So, in other words, we can't play too much with the first bit, the hypothetical. We're playing with the... No, we can't play with the if you had bit, but we can play with the would you bit. Or if you knew, would you bit. We're playing with the conditional bit. So, si tu savais la réponse, dirais-tu quelque chose? Si tu savais la réponse, est-ce que tu dirais quelque chose? Si tu savais la réponse, tu dirais quelque chose. Why? Because that second half, albeit comprised in a, the combo, is part of the. It's still part of a sentence, a question which can be answered with yes or no. And when you have a question which can be answered with yes or no, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We have the tone of voice. We have the est-ce que, qu'est-ce que. We have, the inversion. Simple, simple. Let's do another one like that. If it were possible, would you do it? S'il était possible, tu le ferais? S'il était possible, est-ce que tu le ferais? S'il était possible, le ferais-tu? Nah, I'm not a fan. No, no, no. It's a nice little fuchsia. I'm going to get myself the fuchsia in front of me. Look at these gorgeous roses. Lovely. Do you know why the guy in front's pardon me, English is hard. Do you know why the guys in front are wearing coats? Mais vous savez pourquoi les mecs devant portent des manteaux? Notice des manteaux because it's coats, it's not all coats. I suppose I could have said their coats, leur manteau. Do you know why the guys in front are wearing their coats? Mais vous savez pourquoi les mecs devant portent leur manteau? Vous savez pourquoi les mecs devant portent des manteaux? Notice, and I spoke about this in the workshop thing, if you have got a little bit of creative possibility that you can use the wood. I have a sneaky suspicion they're going to the same Indian. I don't know why, I just get that in my soul. Oh, sunflowers. I used to know somebody who likes sunflowers. Good. So, it just didn't turn out to be very sunny. So, if you have got that kind of situation, then so notice that you can use the would and the negative a little bit. So, do you know? Vous savez? Would you know? Like, would you happen to know? Vous sauriez? Sauriez-vous? Would you know? Sauriez-vous? Not sir, but saur. S-A-U-R-I-E-Z. Sauriez-vous? Vous sauriez pas par hasard? You wouldn't know by any chance? Oui, monsieur, je suis désolé de vous déranger, mais vous sauriez pas par hasard? You wouldn't know by any chance? Yeah, but we don't want to get too on the back foot. You know, we don't want to be too apologetic for speaking to people. Good. Some other questions. What I need is somebody who doesn't know me particularly to come on here and just ask me a shitload of questions. Let me know underneath if somebody who doesn't know me, I've never spoken to you, wants to do that on Skype, and I will just get you to ask a load of questions in English and we'll translate the questions. That would be quite good. And I will ask them some questions. Yeah, so if you're interested in being my little interviewer, broadcast journalist little person, then ping me underneath or email me. And so I'll ask you about your life and we'll talk about all those questions. And you can ask me about my life in English and then I'll help you translate them and we'll talk about that. So it'll just give us some really nice question style stuff. Good, and we'll also talk about tone. I think that'd be quite a cool idea. So yeah. Lovely. All right then, speak to you soon, guys. Best wishes. If you found this useful and the whole question workshop, remember I do have the podcasts available. They are really neat. They are like much more condensed. There's no bloody roses and walking around in them. They are just voice. They are all you need on the writing front, the grammar front, the reading front. There's some really good revision. Yes. Excellent. Right, guys, speak soon. Take care. Bye-bye.